Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Mike with Mike's Horror Channel, and the long-awaited Haddonfield Nightmare by Braden Timmons has finally been released. I'm going to go ahead and go over my thoughts about the entire film. But if you're new here, first, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and also hit the bell. That way you know every time I post a new video. All right, so Braden Timmons' long-awaited Haddonfield Nightmare film has finally released. I, for one, have been waiting a long time to watch this movie, and I did watch the premiere as it happened live on YouTube. There were a lot of people in there watching this film. It was awesome. The quality of this film, a lot more than you expect from a fan film. Really good cinematic quality. The color of the film, as far as like the night shots, you had a lot of those cool blues that gave you that fall feeling. And then the daytime shots, some of the establishing shots, some of the regular daytime shots, you got a lot of those fall colors going on. You got the environment that felt really it felt like October. So they captured the Halloween feeling just in the cinematography and the colors alone, just starting the movie out. It's really, really good quality. Got you right in that headspace of October, of Halloween. Now, the movie did start off a little slow for me, which is not a bad thing. It was just, I wish it would started off a little quicker. Some of the acting was really good in the film. Some of the acting wasn't, but the person that played John Tate was awesome. And to go back, this story is a continuation of Halloween H2O. So what you're getting is a continuation of the John Tate story. And in this film, there's no Laurie Strode. You get John Tate and you get his daughter, which has a really interesting dynamic. It really reminds you of John and Laurie in H2O, just the way they interact. And at the same time, it's still different, right? They have their own personalities, and the John Tate's daughter has her own personality, but a lot of similar conversations that you heard from John Tate and Laurie in H2O. So really cool dynamic between the two. Now, one of the issues I had with the movie was I didn't really understand, and maybe I missed it. I do plan to watch this movie again, maybe tonight or tomorrow. But maybe I missed something here, but I just didn't get, since this is a direct sequel to H2O, we all know the ending. Michael gets his head chopped off, right? So resurrection hasn't happened in Braden Timmons' timeline here. So there was no switch out between Michael and the paramedic. It didn't happen. So given the ending of H2O, this movie starts out with Michael having been arrested by police, and one of the cops tries to decide he's going to take things into his own hands, and he's going to take Michael out of the cop car and kill him. So I'm a little confused about how we went from him getting his head chopped off to him being arrested. And I know throughout the movie they do mention that, John Tate mentions that they're not sure if that was actually Michael Myers. There was no DNA match. So they don't know if it was him or an imposter. Either way, that opening just it didn't gel with me. It didn't make sense. And again, I could have missed something. I do plan to watch the film again. But still, that aside, really good, solid story that really builds on John Tate and Myers. A lot of similarities between John and Laurie. The current John Tate as an adult and the adult Laurie. The difference is he believes that Michael died in that fire in 78 and it was an imposter they were dealing with in H2O, where Laurie believed he never died and he was eventually coming back. So we do find that John Tate starts to piece some local murders together and believes now that Michael is back, and he finds himself trying to convince his daughter the way that Laurie was trying to convince him. So really good tie together. There is a Marion Chambers mention in there as well. Now, the actor that played Michael Myers in the Haddonfield Nightmare, he was hit and miss for me. I think he did really well in certain parts and not as well in others. So For me, it was the small things, really nitpicking ultimately, but you know, I think he did well with stalking. So showing up in random windows and just kind of watching his victim, or standing behind a tree somewhere and watching his next victim. He did really well with that. It was just some of the movements for me. The walking he didn't have down, and any Halloween purists, we're gonna nitpick the walk, right? So I didn't think he didn't nail that part as much, and the way he just kind of popped up in certain scenes. Like there's one scene where the camera's looking down a hallway, and he just kind of glides into the shot. It didn't feel very Myers to me, but again, it's a fan film. It's very nitpicky. It's no big deal. Just kind of my observation. But ultimately, throughout the film, he did really well with certain things. The head tilt, the head mannerisms, those are really good. Small things like the way he he'd make the kill, with the hammer to the back of the head, or the way he'd do his knife kills. He nailed those completely. It felt like I was watching a Halloween movie. So those were spot on. For me, it was really just the walk, and again, very nitpicky. Another thing I didn't really like was the mask. And again, we're nitpicking, but I didn't get the look of the mask. I didn't understand that part. We're talking about direct sequel to H2O. So that, the mask in this film is very, it has this ripped up look, almost like it was ripped up and sewn back together. So I didn't really get how we got from the H2O mask to the Haddonfield Nightmare mask. And again, these are all things that, like any Halloween movie, you watch them a few times and then you catch things that you missed the first 2 or 3 times, and then every time you watch it, you catch something new, which I'd imagine is what's going to happen here, because this was a very in-depth story. This isn't a short fan film. This is a feature-length film. It's, I think, an hour and 20 minutes. So it's a nice long film. There's a lot to be taken in. So I think I'll, when on second watch, third watch, maybe I'll catch some of these things that I missed and not quite gelling with me yet. The mask is just one of those. And again, it's nitpicky. The mask is really not a big deal for me. It's the story. How did they tell this story? And when you look at it, the story between John Tate and the daughter, the story between Myers and Tate, the story between even one of the other faculty members at the school he teaches at, which, by the way, John Tate is a college professor, just like his mother. And he teaches psychology, of all things. So there's just a lot of moving parts to this story that really worked. And I sound like I'm nitpicking a lot of the bad stuff here, but I really just don't want to give away too much of what's happening in this movie. I want you guys to go and watch the movie. It's a really good follow-up to H2O. When you look at the follow-up we got with Resurrection, and I know Resurrection has its fan base. Even I go back and watch it from time to time. Sometimes I enjoy it. Sometimes I'm like, God, why am I sitting through this? But the Haddonfield Nightmare is, to me, a worthy follow-up to H2O. Like I said, it's a fan film, so now all the acting is going to be great, and little things like that. You might find some little plot lines a little weird, but ultimately, this is a much better sequel than the one that we got, and it's a fun sequel to watch. Especially once the story gets moving. The opening's a little slow for me, but that's just my taste. I kind of like a movie that starts off hitting hard, then slows down and gets us back into the groove. That's just my thing. So if I sound like I'm kind of nitpicking this movie, it's just my observation, but my overall thoughts is this was a very good movie. I'll definitely going to give it another watch. Like I've mentioned a few times, I want to give it another watch, maybe catch some things that I missed. And it's one of those that I think will be in my rotation for future Halloweens for years to come. I'll probably watch that following H2O before I watch Resurrection. Really, really good effort by Braden Timmons. Awesome movie. Not much more I can say. Go watch it. I'm going to put the link in my description. It is worth a watch. So that's all for now. Until my next video, thank you guys, and please subscribe.